All right, ladies and gentlemen, super pumped to be here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Honest to God, a production of AM 1160 The Quest, Atlanta's Catholic Radio. We're going to have a good show today.
Oh, yeah. This show is going to slay the house down. For sure.
That's some really nice topical Gen Z lingo, Julian, that came totally naturally from your mouth.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. And a shout out to our associate producer of this episode, Kateri, all the way up in Connecticut. We're not going to use last names because we don't, but associate producer Kateri.
After Saint Kateri. Take it with us?
That's right. That's who she was named after.
That's cool. That's a good name.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
Kateri.
I found, when you're a kid and your parents use all the words and things, the slang that embarrasses you, right? I think there's this genuine assumption that you have as a kid. I remember this, right? Of my parents are just trying to be cool. And it's so embarrassing. But now that I'm older, I realize that my parents are doing exactly what I'm now doing to my own kids, which is, I understand how bad this hurts you, and it's funny to me. So I'm going to use it. But the pro move, I use stuff with my high school kids, right? When I work in a high school, talking to high school kids, that was like popular lingo like 5 years ago. And then what it does is it has like compounding embarrassment. So I like say bet a lot.
Is bet still not a thing?
I don't think that's a thing anymore.
I still use it.
Do you?
But
you're like,
that's really fire,
I'm
man.
weird. Yeah, fire's a good one.
Or like slay.
There's a few of those.
Slay. Yeah.
So you got to compound the embarrassment. All right, we're not talking about slang today,
but it will be on the episode from time to time. Thanks to our associate producer Kateri.
We'll find ways to throw it in there.
Yeah, please, Julian, keep us updated.
We'll keep it updated, and it won't be mid.
It won't, and I know what that means, and so I'm just going to keep moving on because I know what you're talking about. We got Diego, we got Gavin supporting here. It's going to be good stuff. We're going to be talking sort of big picture Lifeteen, and then drilling down into some other things today. Should be a good episode. Would one of you guys mind opening us in prayer real quick?
Sure, yeah, let's do it. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Come, Holy Spirit, come, Lord Jesus. Father, we praise you, we bless you. Thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for the gift of our tongues to glorify you, Lord, to communicate you. Lord, I just pray that anything that is shared throughout this time, anything that is spoken from our mouths that is of you, Lord, that needs to be sealed upon our hearts, needs to be sealed upon anyone who's listening, their hearts. May it be sealed upon their hearts, Lord, in your name. And Lord, in the same way, I ask and I beg that anything that comes out of our mouths that is not of you, that may not be of you, may be forgotten and may be wiped away. Blessed Mother, we entrust ourselves to you. We consecrate this time to you, along with your most chaste spouse, Joseph, as we pray, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Amen.
So I'm torn when I'm giving that one a grade. I always grade the prayers. Because my rule is always if you fall back on a rote prayer at the end, like I usually lose points. But no, but it was really good. And I think it was a good, like I felt it in a good way, And it was... And this is a compliment because they're better at this than us. It was like Protestant-y, right? with the justs, a little just ask. So I'm gonna give him an 89.5, which will round up to a 90. Just so you get an A. Just so you get an A. Good A minus. I should stop doing that. I feel bad about it. I feel weird about grading the prayers. I don't know. What are your thoughts, producer?
I don't know, but I want to hear from our listeners because I like the grades. But if you like the grades, also comment a grade down below. If you don't like the grades,
I want to know.
Put it in the comment section. Hey, the grades, it's a little distasteful, whatever you think.
Yeah.
Send in the comments and hit that like button or dislike button.
Yeah, cool. All right. Thanks. Anyway, killer. Thank you, Diego. Great prayer. We appreciate you praying for us. And I asked you this off air, so I already know the answer, but because of your hoodie, I do want to say, where'd you go to college?
I went to the Franciscan University of Steubenville.
The Franciscan University
of Steubenville. The one and only.
I was a graduate class of 2010. I graduated in December of 2010.
Wow.
From Franciscan.
Dropout 2023.
What year? How many years were you there?
I was there 3 years.
That's great. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it was a really good experience. I always say that I didn't get the real Franciscan experience. I went there when Southern Catholic College where I went for my first 3 years of college. It closed down. It didn't survive sort of 2008, 2010. They shuttered. Franciscan swooped in and saved me and took all of my credits. So I was only there for a semester. I did a bunch of summer classes. I was engaged to be married to my wife. And so I lived with my buddies from back home. I spent most of the weekends driving to Maryland where my bride-to-be was. And so I didn't get the whole experience, but I'm forever indebted to Franciscan. And if you're considering a college, especially if you're a boy considering a college, you should consider Franciscan. Absolutely. And I say that, especially if you're a boy piece, because at least when I was there, it was like 60-40 girls to guys, and a solid quarter to a third of the guys were going into seminary. So I'm just saying, like, good odds, gentlemen. Good odds if you want to find a beautiful, holy woman to have a dozen of your babies and love and honor you all the days of your life. Check it out.
Indeed. Or if you're trying to run from your vocation, if you feel like you might have a vocation of the priesthood, good buddy of mine put it pretty nicely one day. It was like, if you feel called to the priesthood and you want to run, don't run, because that run ends in a circle that ends in a collar. So Franciscan is definitely a good place for a lot of clarity with those sorts of things, with big V vocational things.
My sister-in-law went to Franciscan for 4 years and dated a really, really, really great guy. And we're going up to Minnesota in June to see her take her final vows after 7 years in the convent.
Wow.
He's a great guy. It didn't work out though, but it was one of those things.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, it is a good spot for vocation. It's a good spot for discerning, or just figuring out who you are as a son or daughter of God. I'm just a big fan. All the Newman schools, big shout out, but I'm personally biased to Franciscan. What about you, Gavin? Did you go to college?
Nope, did not go to college. Graduated in high school in high school, Dunwoody High School.
You went to Dunwoody High.
Dunwoody High, yeah.
Okay, so you're fairly local.
Yeah.
Cool. And right now you're up in, where are you?
Tiger, Georgia.
Okay.
As a missionary over at Cove Crest.
That counts. Those are like two built-in fun facts from both of them.
Yeah.
But one built-in fun fact.
One, right?
All right, but you owe us two more because it's the first time on the show. Gavin, you got two more fun facts for us?
I am 6'3.5", but I say 6'4". And then I can do this really cool bird call with my hands that I learned on TikTok.
100%.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's the sound I hear every time an Indian comes onto the screen for the first time in a movie. That's really neat.
That's so cool.
We probably can't keep going with that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
what
awesome.
about you, Diego? That was a really neat fun fact. I like you
really neat fun fact. I feel like I can't top that.
Yeah, what you got, Diego?
Yeah. I was raised in Venezuela the first 11 and a half-ish years of my life. And I was actually born in Kissimmee, Florida, so right next to Disney World, 5-minute drive from
Born in
Disney
Florida,
World.
then to Venezuela, and now you're back here.
And now I'm back here. Yeah.
Lo siento, pero no hablo español, solo inglés, Diego.
Wow, pero lo hablas un poco bien, lo hablas bien.
No sé. That's all I got. Los gatos están en la biblioteca. Está muy grande y sucio. Limpia tus gatos, por favor. Yeah, no, I'm good with some gibberish. I can read it fairly well.
Oh, there you go.
I can read some Cervantes or whatever, and
some John the Cross in his original language.
I could. I haven't. That'd be neat. So that's cool. All right, cool. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
One of my coworkers, who's a dear friend of mine, is from Venezuela, from Caracas, actually.
Oh, nice. That's where I was raised.
Then when all this stuff happened with Maduro and whatever, she came up here. So welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So today's topic, once again, big picture, Lifeteen. You're both involved, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. I want to talk about how. I want to talk about what it is. We've talked about Lifeteen before on the show in some capacity, but I really want to dig in a little more today. So maybe we can just once again start kind of big picture. What is Lifeteen, and what are you guys doing with Lifeteen right now? Our audience, for the most part, is going to be sort of upper teenage, like college years through 20, 30 somethings. Cool. So it's just sort of in that context. What should we know?
Sweet. So Lifeteen is a Catholic apostolate that our whole focus, why we do what we do is to lead teens closer to Christ, to provide an environment for them to grow together, and especially in their parish communities, and to then be sent out back to their parish communities and to transform and set ablaze their parish communities. We're missionaries with Lifeteen. We're first year formation missionaries with Lifeteen. So what that means is that we commit to a year at either of the camps that we own here in Dahlonega, Georgia, and in Tiger, Georgia, from September through August. And we have a period of time throughout the year that we put on retreats basically every weekend for all different sorts of group, teens from the Atlanta area, from different parts of Georgia, to like young adult groups that just come that want to use the facilities, and we're just there to help serve them. And yeah, it's to any young adults or any college students out there that may be listening that like have a really deep drive for mission or a deep desire for mission, that maybe you're one of those people who went on a mission trip for the first time ever this past spring break, and it totally changed your life and it changed your perspective on humanity and the world. Right. And you're like, whoa, like I want to take this and I want to keep going. Like, I think Lifeteen is a really good place to come and be formed in that missionary zeal. Right. That passion is good, right? But if it doesn't have a focus, if it's not central, then it's kind of lost. Like, it's kind of pointless, right?
Yeah. So I think that's kind of my bigger question in general. Is there a ton of sort of, I don't know what the word is, apostolates or whatever, similar to Lifeteen, but Lifeteen seems to be the one that I hear about consistently, and it tends to be the one that produces a whole lot of results. And I kind of want to dig into a little bit, what do you think is different? And I want to say, right, just lay all my cards on the table, I'm not saying that the end all be all of spiritual formation is Lifeteen. That's not true, right? There's different flavors, there's different themes. The older I get, something I'm saying always on the show is that liturgical preference does not equal orthodoxy, right? I might like X better than Y, but if both are within the church and neither is heretical, I can do X or Y, and that's okay, right? But Lifeteen, at least from my perspective, seems to be doing really, really great work. And I'm curious about your thoughts on why.
I definitely feel like we do an amazing job, just like really pouring out to the teenagers that we come and like encounter at camp during the mission year, and especially during the summer when we have like 400 teenagers like every week from all across the country. And like Diego said, we do have 2 camps mainly here in Georgia, but we do also have like remote camps in like Texas, California.
Oh, good. Remote meaning a long way away, not like over Zoom.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. I was gonna push back on that.
Yeah. No, we do rent those camps, so we don't have like a permanent stay.
Sure.
In there, and we just don't have that many like missionaries along the full year to like really pour out to teenagers over there. But the teenagers that we do reach on a regular basis every weekend is like so impactful. Even speaking from my own stance, I was a camper way back in the day. And I definitely found like that Jesus was real. Like most Catholics, I feel like we have trouble like realizing and understanding the full depth of like Jesus and the true presence of the Eucharist. So like in adoration, I had a profound like conversion, and like was like, wow, this is like amazing. This is like so like real. Like the creator of the universe comes down into this like small little bread and encounters me just because he loves me so much. And I feel like that's just so impactful.
And this is in no way minimizing what you just said, but that is a story I've heard 10,000 different times. And I mean, if you were to ask me, what does Lifeteen do really, really well compared to a lot of other programs? It's adoration. It's, hey, sit down and be quiet and look at your creator. And that seems like overly simple, but that's kind of what our whole faith is rooted in, right? Is Christ coming to us in the Eucharist. And I just don't think you can screw it up. And it's really funny to me. You can have all the bells and whistles and rock bands and whatever in the world. Like you have at a lot of these Christian and sometimes specifically Catholic camps. But if you don't have Jesus Christ there physically in the center of it, if that's not the focus of what you're doing, it's never going to work.
No.
Correct.
No.
Wait, were you a Lifeteen camper or whatever when you were in high school?
Yeah. I was a Lifeteen camper, same as Gavin. My first time was in 2018 over at Cove Crest, and then my second time in 2019. And both times, I mean, the first time I'd had a very similar experience to Gavin back when I was a freshman in high school. And 2018, I was a junior in high school. And so I was growing in my faith, kind of understanding my identity as a beloved son of the Father. And Lifeteen made it clear to me that the journey, like the Christian journey, the journey as a Catholic young man, is not something I could do alone.
Right.
And it was because of this missionary, and gosh, for the life of me, I can't remember his last name, but his first name was Austin. And he approached me when I was sitting on a bench by myself, when I was having one of those little spells that I sometimes get in where I wanted to be off by myself and I felt isolated from everybody. And so I kind of went and sat at this bench by myself while everybody was out having fun, like at camp. And Austin saw me and he came up to me, and I was mind boggled. I was blown away that this random college student, this super cool person that's like doing this and giving his life to the Lord for this half the summer, an entire summer, was genuinely interested in what I had to say about my daily life and my life struggles and what was going on in my head, and had not just interested, but the Spirit spoke through him to console me and to comfort me in that moment.
Praise God.
So yeah, Lifeteen has been a journey. I think of both of our lives since we were younger, since we were much younger, and continues to be. Yeah,
and not to just keep tooting Lifeteen's horn, but one thing that I also think that, at least in my experience, I did not grow up involved at all in the church. And so I've sort of only seen it. I've seen it as a youth minister. I've seen it working in schools. I've seen it taking kids on retreats and things like that. Typically, the Lifeteen missionaries are, and I don't want to say this in a way that would offend people who are parts of other groups. They're normal. They're not, you know what I mean? Right? They're not, they don't give you the heebie-jeebies, like, because you can be too heavy-handed in it, right? There are definitely people who, and sometimes I can blame it on anything from spiritual pride to whatever. But in my experience, it's always been hey, let me meet you where you're at.
Correct.
Is there training in that? Do y'all do any sort of
I feel like that's just our whole formation year. I mean, we do just like the start of, like, even me and Diego were we were the summer missionaries at the beginning, and like kind of lived into this rule of life that Lifeteen like really hones in and like forms even the summer missionaries and even more the full-time missionaries in this like boundaries of like how to live our life according to like what the Catholic Church believes and like what has worked for like us as like Lifeteen missionaries in the past of like like the dating fast and like a couple of other
dating fast. Love unique opportunity, right?
Yes,
unique opportunity.
To only pursue the Lord. You
want to tell us what the dating fast is?
Yeah. So funnily enough,
because I've done some fast dating in my life, but I don't.
Yeah, you think it means dating fast, but no, it actually doesn't. It actually doesn't. No, it's funny in our rule of life. Actually, it never once says dating fast in there. Mm-hmm. The way it's worded, and I'm paraphrasing here, is we have a unique opportunity to enter into a time and a space where our sole focus is the Lord. And not just that, but we can build healthy, like chaste friendships between men and women, which is something that today is incredibly rare.
100%.
Incredibly rare to see a man and a woman that can be good friends and not be sleeping together every other weekend.
Right.
as friends with benefits,
Right.
that kind of culture. Yeah.
Yeah,
culture.
or just, I mean, even in sort of chaste, holy sort of relationships, it does seem like there's a whole lot of pressure there, especially for young people, right?
Totally.
Oh, you're friends with so-and-so. Is this some going on? Is
Yeah.
there a little whatever, right? Now, that being said, real talk, how many people end up dating somebody 5 seconds after the dating fest ends?
Pretty often.
Okay. But I'm not saying that's a knock against it either. I'm just saying, like, if you're doing that, from a emotional and physical chase standpoint,
Correct.
that's a good and beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of if... we talk about dating a lot on this show. We've had a lot of couples on this show. And we've had a lot of questions about sort of young adults. So a question that comes up all the time that I'm always asking people. I married the last time I had a first date was when I was 19 years old, my sophomore year of college, right? I married her. She just gave birth to my 5th kid. It's the best
Praise
thing in the world.
Wow.
Highly recommend it.
Lord.
But we talk about that a lot on the show, and you hear over and over and over again some just sort of the struggles and the pressures that are unnecessarily put on people. And how do you find anybody else who cares about the same things you do, who share our faith, who share our morality? And one thing that we always throw out is do the kinds of things you want. You hope your future spouse is doing, right? So it makes sense that you would, after this period, say, "Okay, it's time to pair up."
Oh yeah.
I don't want to talk about dating anymore. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry for going down there. Unless you do, Gavin, we can do the rest of the show on your love life if you'd like us to.
Oh man.
So one thing I'm really curious about, and something I like to grill anybody who's sort of doing missionary stuff, and I mean specifics, not some general, well, there's a lot of this. What are some real, as specific as you can be comfortably without giving names, fruits you've seen from working as a missionary?
Oh, dude! Right off the bat, immediately, I can tell you one thing that I was actually back in Steubenville for Holy Week sabbatical, and people kept asking me that question. Like all my friends, first thing they said, like, "Yeah, tell me fruit of your mission year. Like, how's your mission year been?" And immediately, like, it was definitely the Holy Spirit just providing this instance. I think our fellow missionaries that listen to this podcast will know what I'm talking about, which is funny. But yeah, I feel like it's pretty public knowledge. There was a guy in my house that I really struggled with at the beginning of the year, really struggled with, and he and I talked. Yeah, Gavin, definitely. No, Gavin does not live in my house. Gavin does not live in my house. But he and I would talk about it, and we'd talk about it like every now and then, and we would have these like little, we call it conflict resolution, where we'd come together and be like, dude, you did this thing that pissed me off, or you did this thing that was really annoying, or you did this thing. And for a while, as we kept doing that, it seemed like it was going nowhere. Right. It seemed, for both of us, like it seemed like it was going nowhere. I can honestly tell you, like today, he's probably one of the guys I'm closest to, like, in the house.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Like, and that came out of this place of, like Gavin was saying, our formation just brings us to this place where you're not trying to like shove Jesus down each other's throats. You're just trying to be Jesus, like, to one another, and you're trying to love one another, and you're trying to bear one another in charity through your struggles, through the different places that you're at. And the really beautiful like prayer experience that it came down to with me and this guy was like, okay, Lord, this prayer of St. Francis actually, like, Lord, who are you and who am I? And the Lord reminding me, I am Father, like you are Son. And then who is this guy? And who are you and who is this guy? And it's like, I'm Father, he's Son, so he's brother. So why don't you be Son here where you are, and let him be Son there where he is? And then just be bros.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
And it's awesome. Yeah, it's great. I love him a lot. And I miss him a lot. He's been, pray for him. He's recovering from ACL surgery.
Oh,
currently.
absolutely.
So,
what about you, Gavin? You got any specific fruits? I just like getting into the weeds here.
No, I love it too. Down and dirty topics, I love it. But I would also have to say, like, community of, like, not obviously, like, a lot of missionaries, like, all community is awesome, but like not being, like, going to college is like hard because I didn't have that community and growing up with like roommates up until this year. So just like one of our rule of life is like, you are your brother's keeper. Mm-hmm. So I feel like as like all of the house, we definitely keep each other accountable and call out like where we're struggling, like, hey, like, you're not really doing the dishes, which is like a lot of the guys telling me that. So, yes. But it's been really, really formational and like fruitful. But also like being more reliant on the Lord.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just like not, being a guy, I just like want to provide for myself and like, I'm this big, strong guy. I can take care of myself. But like even coming from like, I worked in construction for 3 years prior to like leaving, graduating high school, of like, I can like break like all these rocks and granites all by myself. But like at a certain point, I have to be like reliant on other people, and especially like the Lord, just growing in my trust with that. And like,
No, dude, the whole topic of community is something that comes up all the time whenever we're talking to anybody, and it is something that I just want to. We're going to go to break here in a minute, but I just want to really sort of dig my heels in on that. None of us are made to do this by ourselves, right? No. None of us are. And I'm not saying it's impossible. You want to John the Baptist it, you want to go out in the wilderness and whatever. There's a place for that for sure, right? Yeah. But 99.99999% of us, right? We need community, right? Especially living in Sodom and Gomorrah where we're living right now, right? We have not this particular studio, but living in this culture we have that's so hostile to everything that is true and good and beautiful. And I don't know if you're listening right now and you're interested in finding community and really being the person that God wants you to be, discerning your vocation with people who actually care about you in a very real sense. I've never been a Lifeteen missionary, but I cannot suggest it highly enough. We got like a minute left. If you guys have anything to say to that.
No, I would certainly agree. On the vocations topic, I mean, the biggest thing for me this year is like the Lord giving me the space to rest, to rest and to just, again, be with him, and just trust him. For anyone who's listening, trust him. He's got you. Keep showing up to prayer, keep showing up to community. That's where the adventure happens, in the nitty gritty, in the really.
Especially when you're not comfortable doing those kinds of things.
Especially when you're not comfortable.
So I've got some more specific questions that I really want to dig into here in a minute. We are going to take a really quick break here in a second. But before we do, I do have to give a shout out to our sponsor today. And this is kind of awkward. We don't do this ahead of time. But it's Focus Ministries. So consider Focus Ministries. Big fan of them. Definitely check them out while you're discerning what to do. Lifeteen also is great, but today's sponsor is Focus Ministries. All right, we'll be right back. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Honest to God, a production of AM 1160 The Quest, Atlanta's Catholic Radio. Stay tuned. Hey guys, John Henry Span here. Just letting you know that it is a moral and legal requirement that you like, subscribe, and leave us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Go ahead and write us a nice review. Thank you guys so much for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Honest to God, a production of AM 1160 The Quest, Atlanta's Catholic Radio. This episode of Honest to God, we're talking to some Lifeteen missionaries. As a reminder, this episode of Honest to God is brought to you by Focus Ministries. It's not Lifeteen, but it's pretty great. It's pretty great. Check out Focus Ministries. Yeah. Anyway, done with them. They're dead to me now for the rest of the episode. Yes. Let's get back to Lifeteen.
It's a good bit.
So I talked about this briefly when we were off air, and I think it's a question worth asking, right? The show is geared towards sort of 18 and up, sort of that age range, and Lifeteen deals in. Is it only high school that you're actually ministering to?
High school and middle school.
All right. So let's say that I've got a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grader, whatever, right? Should I make them go? Should I make them go to a Lifeteen camp? Should I make them go? They don't want to go. They're angsty. They want to look at their phone and give me some cool hip jargon, Julian. They want to say words like
besides slay the house down, like we've already talked about.
We already said slay the house down.
Well, generally they probably don't want to go to camp because they just want to riz up their girlfriend or their neighbor.
There you go. There it is. Wow. Thanks, Julian. Yeah. They want to do that thing.
Yeah, they want to do that. Yeah.
So they don't want to go. What should I do? If I'm a mom or dad, should I make my kid go?
Yeah, I think every parent should voluntold their kids should go like to Lifeteen. I was
Wow, you're ruining my life.
Yeah, I know, right? You know, my mom always told me, Gavin, you're gonna do this thing and you're gonna like it. And usually it's like eating my vegetables, which but I was voluntold on a confirmation retreat, and that's like really sparked my interest. And usually, I'd say like if you have like a sibling, not sibling, but son or daughter that doesn't like want to go and like is like really pushing against it, like, oh mom, I just want to stay on the VR and just like Minecraft it up, or like whatever the kids do. I feel like if they bring one of their friends, like I had my older brother go with me, and that's like who I was like walking beside that whole retreat with. And that kind of made me like feel comfortable because he was the only person that I knew on that confirmation retreat. Right. And like, that's like what often like ultimately made me like open up to what the Lord had for me to do on that retreat.
I dig it.
Yes. Another term, yas, apparently.
Yas.
Oh, hey.
Yas. Or queen, but that's okay.
Slay.
I don't know how slay queen. Oh, that's fine. Anyway, so if you're listening on the radio or on YouTube, and you know of a parent or a teen who you think would be interested, but they're a little hesitant, hit that share button and send it to them so that they can hear this episode. And if you're listening on the radio, come to Honest to God at YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and then hit the share button. And send it to the teens who might be interested in camp or aren't interested, but would have a good time and may come closer to Jesus.
Well, producer Julian, didn't you did Lifeteen? You were heavily involved in Lifeteen in high school, weren't you? Did your mom make you go?
My church did not offer Lifeteen camp. It was kind of somewhat in its infancy, but we did go to Cove Crest for retreats. And I actually say the Cove Crest up here, well, not up here, we're at camp. We're near Camp Hidden Lake here at the Ark. Actually, where are we today? I don't even know where we are today.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked out the windows.
Okay.
I haven't been allowed out of here in months.
They lock us up, and we are actually transported in this studio to various parts of the world. It's really cool. You're hungry?
Yeah.
We're offering Oreos. But anyway, Cove Crest in Tiger, Georgia, where I actually met Gavin for the first time a few weeks ago, is one of my favorite places in the world, and I've been to 23 countries. So I can speak with a lot of authority on that.
Best places, yeah.
Not a flex. It's just hey, Cove Crest really is that awesome.
Yes.
No, I'm totally in agreement there, right? I think that it's one of those things where sort of if you have a kid, and temperament does play into it, right? Yeah. But it's going to be awkward for a little bit. And then unless they're really obstinate, it's going to stop being awkward, especially if you get them one of these things that's away. They're going away somewhere. It's not a confirmation retreat with a whole bunch of their friends from high school. They're going to be sort of out of their comfort zone. I can't speak more highly of the experience of just sort of throwing your kid into it.
Oh, 100%. I would even go a step further and say, like, pick a camp that doesn't like let them have their phones.
1,000%. Do you have camps that let them have phones?
No.
Get rid of that. Okay, good.
No, exactly.
We never like enforce it, right? It's never a rule that we enforce at like Cove Crest or Hidden Lake. But like, I know whenever I have conversations with youth ministers and with like chaperones, it's like, dog, just do it. Like you have the authority to take them up and put them in a bag for a week or a weekend,
100%.
however, like, and they're gonna, again, like you said, it's going to be awkward at first, but they're going to, years down the road, if it's not at the end of this week, they're going to thank you so much, so many times over.
I'll go a step even further. If you're a parent right now with a kid who would be eligible to go to one of these camps and they have a phone, you go ahead and take their phone and put it in a bag and then throw it in the nearest body of water forever. And they will thank you for it. They will thank you for it eventually. I promise. No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I feel like, speaking just for Cove Crest, like, and even to Hidden Lake, like, I feel like kids nowadays like just grow up with their phones in their face and
it's crazy.
Watch TV all the time. I feel like as a society we grew like a lot in the industry of like technology and AI and like it's crazy. It's kind of scary. But like, I feel like once we like take away their phones, or like even that temptation of like going on Snapchat or Instagram or TikTok, of like just enjoying God's creation, is like mind opening. Like they've never experienced that.
Well, that's what it always comes down to, right? I mean, every time I give some talks sometimes, and I go to different places, and I usually rant and rave about the phone piece. And I always make it really clear that I'm not saying phones are bad for you because you're young. I'm saying phones are bad for you. Right? Because you're a human being, right? They're bad for me. I don't need to look at my phone. I have started, and it will really bother many of my friends. Producer Julian can attest. I will leave my phone in the car for when I get home from work and leave it there. And it's not because I'm super strong. It's because I'm super weak, right? It's because I just want to scroll. I want to retreat to this place of comfort and little dopamine hits as I go through my, whatever feed. And I don't want my kids to see me doing that. I don't want to be the kind of person that does that, because I know I'm going to look back and think, what was all that time for? All that wasted time. Nobody's on their deathbed saying, man, I wish I'd spent more time on Instagram or Snap or whatever it is.
Nobody is.
All right. One thing I really want to get into, because this is something we talked about at the beginning, off air before we even started. I don't even know where to begin with it. I'm just going to throw out a term and you guys elaborate for me. Spiritual poverty. What does that mean? Why was that something that this whole show was almost dedicated to? I want to dig into it.
Dude, that's really awesome what you just shared about the phone and leaving it in the car and saying, like, it's not because I'm strong, it's because I'm weak.
Right.
I think that's really what spiritual poverty boils down to. It's like,
I teed you up. I knew this. I knew that was a good setup.
It was good.
You're welcome.
It was good. Yeah, I think that's really what it is. It's recognizing our utter need and dependence on the Lord.
Yes.
Especially in those moments where we think that we're doing okay, that we think that, everything's good right now. Everything's like pretty chill. Like I can do this. I can do this, and I can take control of things, and I can, just kind of do things the way that I want them to be done, and have my plan and have it laid out, and it'll go exactly how I want it to go. Right. And spiritual poverty, I think, is just this, no, I'm a wretched sinner. I don't even deserve to be drawing breath right now, but the Lord is merciful and loves me and is willing me into existence into this very moment. And what can I do but thank him? What can I do but give him praise? What can I do but beg him continuously for mercy and continue to ask him to help me to embrace my weakness and my poverty? One of my favorite like concrete images of that is in the movie, obviously the Passion of the Christ, like, go read the Gospels, really beautiful. It's better in the Gospels than it is in the movie. But in the movie by Mel Gibson, when Jesus is given the cross, the bad thief that's going to be crucified with him kind of mocks him and looks at him and says, you fool, like you embrace your cross like a fool. Like, why are you embracing your cross? And it's really funny that he says that, because it's actually easier for Jesus to carry the cross if he's embracing it, while this guy's going to struggle the whole way because he's like he's trying to keep it as far away from him as possible. Right. He's like, I don't want this thing. And I just, and I think really spiritual poverty comes down to that. It's recognizing, I don't want this thing, but it's how the Lord wants to save me. Like his redeeming work is active, it's present, it's happening right now, and it's happening through me leaving my phone in the car because I don't want my kids to see that.
Well, I loved what you said at the beginning about self-reliance, and I don't think it's a uniquely American idea, but I think that is something that we as Americans struggle with more. And this is not a perfect analogy, but I had a great conversation with someone a while back, and they said capitalism, right, sort of this hyper-individualistic idea, right, laid out for economics. I'm not knocking capitalism as a concept. That being said, right, capitalism is, and if you really drill down to it sort of philosophically, he said it's a Protestant heresy. It's this idea of you being your own determiner of truth, sort of played out to its fullest extent. And so that's why the church will say capitalism in its purest form, what it does is it reduces you from a human being into a cog in a machine that produces and consumes, right? And then it says communism is a Catholic heresy, right? And once again, in its purest form, this idea that you are reliant on God, you need to be reliant, but to the point that, and I'm not going to be reliant on myself at all. I'm going to be I'm still a cog in a machine. My humanity is still reduced, but I'm a cog in this machine that should be controlled entirely by this outside force with no agency of myself. And so the idea was there's this common, we have these two heresies, and there is a golden mean of, no, I do have some onus. That being said, Lord, I am totally dependent on you.
Correct.
I have to be dependent on you in all things. And I do have to work out my salvation to a degree, but I never earn it. There's no earning, right? You hear sort of the sola fide idea, right? And that's disordered. That's heretical. The idea that there is nothing that we do at all, right? But the idea that grace is a free gift that's necessary for us, that's all 100% true.
Yeah.
We do need it.
Yeah.
I forget who said this. I know St. John Bosco, I believe, used to talk about him viewing himself as an insect when talking to God. But I like this one better. The analogy was, I don't know who it was my spiritual director. We were talking about when I discipline my children, right? Think about things when your children are very young, right? Very young, 2 years old, 3 years old. And the example that I use is my daughter. I have a beautiful daughter. She's 6 now. And a long time ago, I told her to do something, and her response, and I quote, was, "Okay, butt crack." And I'm like, "Why? You can't call me. What do you call me a butt? Right? That's a big deal, right? That's not okay. You can't say that to me. I'm your father, right?" And I run a fairly strict household in regards to things. Everyone knows sort of there's an order thing, and that was so out of left field. And so, on one end, I'm like, that was not okay. You shouldn't have. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, all right, well, you're 3 years old. You're clearly, this was not meant as some affront to my dignity. Right? What a ridiculous, dumb thing that you said. And I have to explain to you that you can't do that. But the analogy my spiritual director was making, because I was struggling a lot with sort of scrupulosity and things like that. He was saying, no, God looks at you that same way and says, all right, you beautiful, ignorant human,
baby,
right? You are so good, and that was really bad. And I'm not angry at you for that. I need you to learn that that's not okay.
Correct.
But I'm not mad. My wrath wasn't going to pour into my daughter. How dare you, Tom, insult me? That is an affront to me as father, head of the house, right? No, not at all. It was, all right, we're going to correct this. That's not okay. You can never say that again. But almost holding back laughter at how foolish, and it was done because she was a baby, right?
Yeah,
and
right. Yeah.
I've always liked that analogy, right? Me, and I think I'm intelligent, and I read my things, and I get into all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm just this ignorant little person who desperately needs my existence relies on my Creator, allowing it to happen. And He loves me, and He wants to correct me and get me to where I need to be. Anyway, I just thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Sort of image.
That is definitely.
So, practically speaking, spiritual poverty. Oh, wait, I threw out the thing about phone in the car, but some other examples. I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah.
Definitely our wage, like our pay. Definitely, if you don't do mission
Actual
work,
poverty.
Actual poverty helps.
Economic poverty
Genuinely helps.
Yeah.
Economic poverty does help. Maybe not long term, but
dying to yourself is like really good and healthy in a practical sense, and just like, oh, I really want this new phone, but like I obviously don't have the money, or like I have to die to myself in this like place that I want right now, and just give it to the Lord.
Is it primarily a mentality, or is it primarily actions? Spiritual poverty.
I would say, at least for me, my experience has been primarily a mentality. If there's any action that goes with it, I would say the biggest one is, prayer.
Right.
Just really basic, just prayer. Like showing up every day for our Creator. Like, it's just a thing of, we give so much time to, again, all our endeavors and all the things that we're doing throughout the day. And like, we can't just give like 15, 20, 30 minutes of our day to our Creator, like you said, the one who's holding us in very existence. I think just that experience of coming before the Lord and recognizing his grandeur, and especially in the Blessed Sacrament, like recognizing his grandeur and his littleness, and then recognizing my own littleness, that's what helps kind of the mindset throughout the day of like, oh man, I'm washing these dishes and I'm tired. I feel like I'm about to pass out. I need a cup of coffee. It's like, and Jesus came down from heaven and rests in a tiny cracker, so that I can consume him and become more like him. Like,
Boo-hoo to me.
What? Yeah. Unbelievable. So I would definitely say a commitment to consistent daily prayer. And this is something that I'm just gonna harp on. Like, it has to be like your schedule should be centered around this. Like something, a joke that we have in our house right now is like, different idols that we make, like, little lowercase I idols, know, and one of them like that we talk about a lot is the schedule, right? Like we can just idolize our schedules and idolize like, okay, this is what we do and this is the order in which we do it. And if communication with God gets lost in there and you just fit it into whatever slot like it fits at the end of the day or whatever, like, and it's not gonna bear fruit, and when you wonder why it's not bearing fruit, well, that's why.
And I have something to say about that. As someone who struggled and continues to struggle with prayer in a lot of ways, I have my whole life. I've said this 1,000 times, but my whole conversion to the faith initially was just up here. It was just an intellectual conversion, right? And God doesn't come for our minds; He comes for our hearts, right? It's great that we can work this stuff out, but it goes so much deeper than that. I had a spiritual director. We talked through this about prayer and finding time for prayer. And it really is just the sacrifice of that time. And I still spend the majority of my time. I'm spoiled. I have a chapel in the building where I work. I can go visit Jesus in the tabernacle whenever I want. But I still spend the majority of my time in prayer, sitting there kind of like blank-minded, like, I don't know what to talk about now, God. I really want to reach into my phone and check. My phone just buzzed. Like I still spend, I'd say 70% of it. And I show up and I say, because I have my conversational prayer with God, where I start with the thank yous for all of my blessings that I have in my life. And I do all the repentant prayers, and I'm sorry for this, and sort of that examination of conscience out loud, like I'm having a conversation with him, because I actually am. And then I get into the pleases, right? I'm really hoping for this. Please help me with this, whatever. And I'm not, it's not a feeling, the vast majority. Sometimes it is, and that's beautiful, but almost never.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's just that time of saying, and I'll say it out loud, I don't want to be here. I got 100 things going on. I'm super distracted. Sorry about that. Also, I don't know if I can change how I feel right now. So here I am. And that's okay. I just want to give everybody permission. I want to make sure everybody knows that you're allowed to be crappy at prayer.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
And it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
100%. I feel like going into mission, I knew nobody, and I stepped away from the faith in 2020 and just like really was listening to the lies of like, oh, you don't belong here, and you like haven't heard the voice of God in like months, and like, what are you even doing here? But like also like acknowledging those lies and rebuking them,
right?
And like
out loud sometimes.
Correct.
I really recommend.
I'm a very verbal person, and verbally helps a lot. What was I saying? I forgot.
No worries. I'm gonna talk for a minute because I can't help it.
Go for it. Yeah.
Going back to that child analogy I was saying earlier, my kids give me gifts a lot, and they're usually terrible. Right. I've got a daughter, Mary Margaret, who's incredibly talented in all sorts of things. But especially when they were young, when they were toddlers, they would make me whatever. They'd make me lunch, right? And my lunch would be a slice of ham and a slice of cheese in like a Ziploc bag, and that's it, right? Or whatever. And I was so thankful and so appreciative because they took the time to do it. Once again, that's God. That's God looking at us. If your crappy, terrible prayer and you don't feel anything and you're distracted and you wish you weren't there and you're thinking of 1,000 other things you were doing, and too bad, Lord, I know I should do this. And so I'm going to do this. And He will accept your old ham and cheese in a Ziploc bag and be so grateful that you made him lunch. Right?
Yeah, right. And even prefers it, right? Like we see in the gospel, like I love the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. I love that parable because it's this Pharisee being like, thank God I'm not like the tax collector and like those other people that are always, and the tax collector's just in the back, like not even able to lift his head, just saying like, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. And like that's enough for him.
Yeah.
Like that's enough for him. Just sitting there and acknowledging the need.
Yeah, we're really, really hard on ourselves. I am especially to the point of discouraging myself all the time. But once again, it's because of community, right? That I, in those moments of spiritual dryness, spiritual darkness, which happen a lot, right? Can still, they drag me forward together, right?
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. I'm going to ask a couple of just kind of bookkeeping questions. But before I do, anything for Lifeteen, for spiritual poverty, anything you guys want to make sure that we throw out there before we close out here in a minute?
The one thing with spiritual poverty, again, that I would leave off with, it's something that if you're one of those people who, like me, likes to think a lot and likes to mull things over and overanalyzes and overthinks, like showing up to prayer and showing up to chapel, don't overthink it. don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. Don't feel like you have to have this routine of like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, like during these 10 minutes and then these 20 minutes. Like if you're just starting out, if this is your first invitation ever to prayer, go and show up for 5 minutes. And St. Ignatius has a really good practice, like take the length of like maybe 30 seconds, the length of an Our Father, 20, 30 seconds, and acknowledge that you have a Father who loves you. And that's it.
And that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
The whole dying to yourself piece that you said earlier, I did want to just sort of end on this. That is not something that you're called to do as missionaries. That's something you're called to do as humans.
Correct.
Right? Especially as men, right? We wear black at our weddings, for instance. Priests wear black because it's a symbol of death to yourself for the sake of another. And it's really, really hard. And that's okay. And it's good practice now. I don't care if you're listening to this and you're 12 years old and your mom is listening to it while you're sitting in the back of the car wishing she would change the channel. Start doing it now. It's the measure of a man, but it's also the measure of a human being. We're not called to live for ourselves.
No, we're not.
All right. So with that in mind, just some bookkeeping stuff. Can you guys give us, we can do Georgia area in particular, right? What do you guys offer? If I want to get involved in Lifeteen, if I want to get my kid involved, if I want to get my younger sibling involved in Lifeteen, what do I do? What are my options? Where do I find out more?
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah. So we offer retreats year round from the months of, correct me, Sherman, October through April. October through April, we offer retreats for middle schoolers and high schoolers. And also just, again, like I said earlier, anybody that wants to use our space for retreats, just give us a call. If you look up Lifeteen International on Google, just type that into Google.
We'll put it in the show notes,
you'll be able to find the website and find the staff and reach out for retreats. Usually, again, groups come in parishes. Our biggest thing that we offer is summer camp, right? Summer camp is 10 weeks of summer camp at Hidden Lake and at Cove Crest, and then a few weeks over at our camp in California.
They're 10 separate 1 week.
Yeah, 10 separate 1 week. Yeah, 10 separate 1 week, where groups, again, come with their parishes and leave at the end of the week, hopefully refreshed and renewed. And then for our young adults, again, just mission, if you're interested in mission. Like,
do I have to have been involved in Lifeteen to be a Lifeteen missionary?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You don't even have to be Catholic.
Yeah, you don't even have to be Catholic.
What?
You don't even have to be Catholic. Yeah, you don't even have to be Catholic.
Okay.
So you can come and you can apply for summer missions. I'm pretty sure this year we're pretty much booked up for summer missions, but application should open sometime this fall. And you can sign up for 6 weeks to be a summer staffer, or for 13 weeks to be on service crew, kind of behind the scenes, working on the facilities of camp and the programming. Or you can sign on to do a full year, like us, if the Lord is calling you there.
No, that's fantastic.
Especially more holy men.
We need holy men. We need
girl
men.
heavy right now.
We are girl heavy for next year. Yeah, it's looking like we have like I think 12 wonderful young women signed up to be full-time missionaries next year, and I think like 3 men.
Awesome. All right, we got about 90 seconds left. We're going to do a lightning round, popsicle sticks. Just pick one question, whichever one you want, and we'll dive in. I'll go first. Oh man. Okay, this is a tough one for me actually. What do you remember about your confirmation? What name did you pick and why? I just had the honor of sponsoring a young man and a young woman through confirmation recently. It was phenomenal, and it made me think a lot about my confirmation. I remember nothing. I don't know who my confirmation saint was. I need to reach out to St. Mary's Catholic Church in Americus, Georgia, and find out. Yeah.
Very quick answers.
Yes.
Which sacrament could you not live without and why? I feel like this is a cop-out, but all of them.
That's fair.
All of them. Yeah, I think just the Lord makes his love known through the sacraments very tangibly.
100%.
My question is, would you rather be 7'4" or 4'7"? I think this is an easy answer, 7'4".
Obviously. Yeah. The other answer is wrong.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's been a blast. Thank you guys so much for being here, Diego.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Ladies and gentlemen at home, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's been a blast. This has been AM 1160 The Quest. Oh, I'm sorry. This has been Honest to God, a production of AM 1160 The Quest, Atlanta's Catholic Radio. Thanks so much, Producer Julian.
Signing off.
Over and out.
Let's do that closing again.
Okay,
Because we can't give a radio ID.
What? They always go radio ID.
Production of the Quest Atlanta's Catholic Radio. No AM 1160.
I've literally said AM 1160 on every single one. I won't from now on, if that's what you're telling
Yeah,
me.
we're supposed to drop the radio ID. I'm sorry. If you did it last time, I didn't.
I think I've done it on every single episode I've ever done.
Well, yeah, we just Dave just as soon 2 weeks ago.
So all I'm saying is a production of
the Quest.
The Quest Atlanta's
Catholic.
Okay, cool. All
We've-
right,
Good
I'm
to
ready.
know. Good to know.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, guys, that's been a blast. Thanks so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's been Honest to God, a production of The Quest, Atlanta's Catholic Radio. Producer Julian,
Signing off.
over and out.